You've seen the claims. This penny is worth $1 million. This quarter can make you rich overnight. But is it true? The truth is, most of it is completely fake. Exaggerated prices, misleading hype. That's what we're here to expose. Welcome to Rare Coin Collecting. We reveal the real value, real history, and true rarity of coins that actually matter. From wheat pennies to rare state quarters. We cover it all with facts, not fiction. We explore coins in detailed series, one country at a time. And right now, we're focused on rare US coins. Subscribe now and discover the truth behind the coins. They say this coin is worth thousands, maybe even more. Videos go viral claiming that a single 1942 D Washington quarter could turn you into a millionaire overnight. But is that the truth, or just another numismatic myth? Let's uncover the real story behind the 1942 D Washington quarter and find out if this coin in your pocket is actually something extraordinary. First off, this coin was minted during World War II, a time when every piece of metal mattered. The Denver Mint produced over 17 million of these quarters, which may sound like a lot, but there's more beneath the surface. Now here's where the suspense begins. While most 1942 D quarters were struck normally, a small number have surfaced with unusual characteristics: weak strikes, repunched mint marks, and even doubled dies. Rare varieties that most collectors overlook. Imagine holding a quarter that looks ordinary, but under a loop, reveals a slight D over D mint mark. These are known as RPMs, or repunched mint marks. And some collectors are paying strong premiums for those high-grade examples. But let's pause and get real. Condition is king. A 1942 D quarter straight from pocket change? That's probably worth its silver melt value. Maybe a few dollars. But a sharply struck coin in mint state 66 or higher, certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, now that's a different story. Some have been auctioned for eye-watering prices, especially when luster, strike quality, and surface preservation come together. The coin's design is classic. On the obverse, George Washington's profile stands tall, simple, strong, and symbolic of American resolve during wartime. The reverse features the heraldic eagle, wings spread wide, talons clutching arrows and olive branches, power and peace in balance. But here's a tip most YouTubers never mention. Always look closely around the mint mark on any 1942 D quarter. Sometimes slight shifts in the die can create RPMs, which are tiny but highly collectible. And if your coin happens to show strong doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, it might be a double die variety. Still, let's not fall for every viral claim. Many people are misled by photos of shiny coins, listed for ridiculous prices online. Some even fake their bids to drive hype. Don't be fooled. The truth is in the grading, authentication, and collector demand, not in exaggerated stories or fake YouTube titles. That's why rare coin collecting exists, to bring you the real value, the historical truth, and what collectors actually care about. So what makes the 1942 D quarter potentially valuable? 1. Mint state grades, especially MS65 and above. 2. Rare varieties like RPMs and doubled dies. 3. Full detail coins. Look for full strike on eagle's feathers and no wear. 4. Original surfaces. Untouched luster. No polishing or cleaning. Let me ask you, have you ever looked through an old coin, jar, or inherited collection and spotted a 1942 D quarter? Most people pass it by thinking it's common. But what if yours is hiding a valuable variety or is in pristine condition? So before you toss it in with the rest, take a second look, under proper light with a magnifier, and always check for those subtle details. And if you're wondering what separates a $5 coin from a $500 one, it's usually not magic. It's the grade, it's the rarity, it's the eye appeal. Collectors and investors alike are always searching for certified gems. Coins graded by PCGS or NGC in pristine condition can sell for high premiums, especially with verified varieties. That's why some 1942 D quarters have fetched thousands. But most haven't. The key is knowing the difference, and that's what we're here for. If you're a coin investor, collector, buyer, or seller, and you're serious about knowing what actually matters, then this channel is made for you. We're on a mission to spread real, authentic coin knowledge. No hype, no clickbait. Subscribe to Rare Coin Collecting and stay ahead of the misinformation. The 1942 D Washington quarter may not make you a millionaire overnight, but if you know what to look for, it just might surprise you. They say this quarter could be worth thousands, or even millions. You've probably seen the videos. Flashy headlines, big promises. Claims that this 1955 Washington quarter, the one with no mint mark, will make you rich overnight. But before you go digging through your spare change or rushing to eBay, stop right there. Because while this coin can be valuable, most people are being fooled by half-truths and exaggerated hype. And that's why this channel, Rare Coin Collecting, is here to uncover the real story. No clickbait, just truth. Let's start with the basics. In 1955, the Philadelphia Mint produced the Washington quarter with no mint mark. That's standard. Coins from Philadelphia during this era didn't carry a mint mark, so just having one without a mark doesn't automatically make it rare. But that doesn't mean there aren't valuable versions of this coin. You just need to know exactly what makes the difference. In 1955, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 18.5 million Washington quarters. That's not a low number. In fact, it's relatively high, especially compared to key dates like 1932D or 1932S. So again, this isn't about mintage numbers alone. The real value lies in condition, strike, and specific varieties. Let's break it down. First, condition. Most of these quarters circulated heavily. They've got scratches, worn-out hairlines on Washington's head, and faded eagles on the reverse. But if you find one that somehow survived in pristine condition, we're talking mint state, especially MS65 or higher, that's where the value kicks in. In MS65 condition, this coin can go from pocket change to hundreds of dollars. And in MS67 it becomes a real treasure. Only a small handful exist at this top tier, which makes them highly sought after by collectors and investors. But there's something else. There's a double die obverse variety, extremely rare, where the lettering on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" shows signs of doubling. If you spot this variety, especially in a high grade, you could be looking at thousands of dollars, depending on the sharpness and clarity of the doubling. However, and this is where people get misled, most of the supposed valuable 1955 quarters you see in those viral videos are not the doubled die. They're regular strikes, or worse, coins with damage, wear, or polishing that makes them look unusual to the untrained eye. And here's where the misinformation spreads. Sellers on marketplaces list these coins for ridiculous prices, and viewers think, wow, I've got one of those. But the truth is, without grading, authentication, and rarity confirmation, your coin may be worth face value, or maybe a few dollars at most. Now let's get into the design details. The obverse of the 1955 quarter features George Washington, a design created by John Flanagan. It's timeless, iconic, and remains the foundation of the Washington quarter series. On the reverse, the bald eagle with spread wings perches on a bundle of arrows with olive branches. Beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace, collectors pay close attention to how sharp these design elements appear. For instance, is the eagle's chest bold and full? Are the feathers clear? Is the jawline on Washington crisp or blurred? These tiny visual cues can separate a common piece from one worth hundreds. Grading matters too. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified the top examples. A PCGS set example, that's a top pop, can fetch thousands at auction simply because of its rarity in that high condition. But remember, these top examples didn't come from circulation. They were likely preserved by collectors, dealers, or found in original bankrolls never opened since the 50s. So what should you look for? 1. No mint mark. Yes, that's normal for Philly. Or 2. Lustrous surface. Check for that brilliant shine, free of scratches or wear. 3. Sharp strike. Visible details on the eagle and Washington's hair. 4. Possible doubling, especially on Liberty and the motto. 5. Professional certification. Raw coins are risky. Graded coins reveal the truth. And here's a final tip. If your 1955 quarter looks unique, don't rush to sell it online based on viral hype. Get it professionally appraised. You might just have something special, or you might learn something valuable. And that is what true coin collecting is all about. At Rare Coin Collecting, our mission is to help you cut through the noise and become a smarter collector. So if you're serious about learning the real value of coins, not just the social media drama, then hit that subscribe button. We've got dozens more coins to cover, from famous eras to hidden varieties, and we'll keep breaking down the facts in every video. For investors, collectors, buyers, and sellers, this channel is made for you. They're saying this coin is worth thousands, maybe even millions of dollars. Inaccurrent. Washington quarter with a small d. Under the eagle, nothing more, right? But what if I told you the truth is way deeper? And most people are getting this coin completely wrong? Don't fall for the hype. There's so much misinformation, spreading like wildfire, people posting videos and blogs, hyping up common coins as life-changing treasures. And unfortunately, many collectors, especially beginners, are being misled. Now here's the reality. The 1940 D Washington quarter was minted in Denver. That little D below the wreath on the reverse tells us that. It's a silver quarter, 90% silver, 10% copper. But unlike some earlier or later dates, this one doesn't carry immediate shock value unless you understand what really drives value. Let's break it down. In 1940, the Denver Mint struck over 2.8 million quarters, a low mintage compared to Philadelphia's massive production, but still not low enough to make this a true rarity at face value. But here's where things get fascinating. Most of the 1940 D quarters were heavily circulated. They were workhorses, passed hand to hand during the war buildup years. Finding one in high grade today? That's the game changer. If your coin has razor-sharp details in George Washington's hair, full breast feathers on the eagle, strong luster, no major nicks, that's when collectors lean in. In mint state condition, especially above MS65, this coin can command serious attention. The values climb steeply between MS63 and MS67, and very few exist in that upper echelon. That's why condition is everything. But wait, there's more to watch for. Some 1940 D quarters have minor die cracks, light doubling, and even repunched mint marks, where the D was struck more than once and slightly offset. These errors or varieties can drive prices higher. But here's the truth. These must be authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. Without certification, claims mean nothing. Don't trust blurry YouTube thumbnails or clickbait claims saying, "This coin is automatically worth 50,000. It's not. And here's the twist. Coin hoarders and big dealers already know this. They've combed through rolls, collections, even estate sales, pulling the best specimens out decades ago. So now, if one pops up in mint state with a strong strike, it creates buzz because it's rare in that condition, not because of the date alone. Let me ask you, have you ever checked your pocket change for something like this? Chances are if you find a 1940 D today, it's worn, dull, and likely worth silver melt value, maybe a few bucks. But if it's pristine, untouched by time, that's when the story changes. And yet, even then, it's not worth millions. This is where rare coin collecting stands apart. Our mission is simple. Deliver real, authentic coin knowledge, no hype, no games. If you're an investor, collector, seller, or even someone just starting out, we want you to know the truth behind each coin's value. The 1940 D Washington quarter is a piece of real American history. It's a wartime coin, minted in the same year Charlie Chaplin released The Great Dictator. And before the U.S. officially entered World War II, it was used in diners, gas stations, maybe even dropped into jukeboxes playing Glenn Miller. And that's what makes this quarter valuable. Not just the silver or the grade, but the story it carries, and the challenge of finding one in exceptional shape. So next time you hear someone shout, "This coin is worth millions," take a breath. Ask the right questions. Look for the facts. And come back to rare coin collecting for the answers that matter. Because coins don't lie. But viral videos? They often do. They're saying this coin, the 1957 S Washington quarter, could be worth a fortune. That just one of these silver quarters might change your life. But what's the real truth? Let's get one thing straight. Most of the hype you see online, those wild price tags, the bold headlines, it's not the whole story. And if you're collecting coins based on rumors, you're not investing, you're guessing. That's why we're here, to uncover what truly matters. Now let's dig into the facts. The 1957 S quarter was minted in San Francisco, and that little S mint mark, right under the eagle on the reverse, has sparked curiosity for decades. Why? Because it's one of the last years San Francisco struck business. Strike quarters before a long pause. After 1957, San Francisco would stop producing business strikes for quarters until 1968. That gives the 1957 S a kind of last-of-an-era importance. But don't be fooled. The U.S. Mint produced more than 19 million of these quarters in San Francisco that year. That's not a low mintage. And for circulated examples, ones that have been spent, worn and tossed into coin jars, value isn't sky high. In fact, in average condition, it's worth mostly for the silver content. But here's the twist. Condition is everything. A setting that is. Washington quarter in mint state especially, MS66 or MS67 can bring serious money. And not just because of the grade, but because very few coins survived, with sharp strikes and full luster from this specific mint. So if you're holding one, What should you look for? Check George Washington's hair. Is it fully defined? Check the eagle's feathers. Can you see crisp detail? Is the surface flashy, untouched by time? Are there no deep nicks or stains? That's when collectors take interest. That's when your 1957 S becomes more than silver. It becomes a prize. And there's more. Some rare examples have full bell lines, meaning the horizontal lines on the eagle's tail. Feathers are fully struck. Others may show signs of dye polish, light doubling, or even repunched mint marks. These varieties are subtle, but in the eyes of seasoned collectors, they separate the ordinary from the exceptional. But here's where people get trapped. They see a TikTok or YouTube video saying, "Check your 1957 quarter, it's worth thousands." But they never mention why. They never talk about grading, certification, or market demand. They just want clicks, and those who believe them end up disappointed. Let me ask you this. Would you sell a rare coin based on a video that didn't even show the back of the coin? That's why here on Rare Coin Collecting, we focus on what truly builds value. Mintage numbers, condition, certified grades, historical context, and collector demand. Now let's zoom out for a moment. In 1957, the world was shifting. Sputnik launched. Elvis was at the top of the charts. The Cold War was heating up, and this coin was in people's pockets at soda fountains, diners, and movie theaters. That's what gives it depth, not just the silver, but the story behind it. Collectors today want more than metal. They want preservation of time. And if your 1957 S quarter is pristine, untouched, and graded by PCGS or NGC, then yes, it could fetch a strong price. But you won't hear that in the viral noise. So what's the real takeaway? The 1957 S Washington quarter isn't rare by date. It's rare in high condition. And if someone tells you it's worth millions without showing you the grade, the mint mark, or even both sides of the coin, they're selling hype, not knowledge. Don't fall for it. Check your coins, learn the signs, get them graded, and most importantly, follow voices that give you truth, not clickbait. That's why Rare Coin Collecting exists. If you're a serious collector, investor, buyer, or seller, this channel is made for you. We're building a library of authentic coin knowledge, one quarter at a time. So is your 1957 S quarter valuable? If it's certified, high grade, and well struck, absolutely. But if it's worn and tarnished from years in circulation, it may still be a great piece of history, but don't expect a jackpot. Because at the end of the day, coins don't lie. But the internet, it often does. They say this coin could be worth thousands, or even millions. You've probably seen the headlines, the thumbnails screaming, "Rare 1935D, quarter sold for a fortune." But is that the truth? Or just another piece of viral hype, designed to confuse collectors and trap hopeful sellers? Let's clear the air. This is the 1935D Washington quarter, and while it can be valuable, most people completely misunderstand why, and what actually makes one of these coins so sought after. Now, before you run to check your pocket change or raid your grandpa's old collection, here's what you need to know, because the truth might surprise you. First off, let's talk about the basics. The 1935D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and it carries a small D mint mark right under the eagle's tail feathers on the reverse. It's part of the early series of Washington quarters, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. But by 1935, the design was no longer commemorative. It was now a circulating regular issue coin, made of 90% silver and 10% copper. The total mintage? Just over 5.7 million. That's not incredibly low. But for early Washington quarters, it's not high either. And that's where the intrigue begins. See, what makes this coin special isn't just its age or silver content. It's about condition, strike quality, and collector demand. In circulated grades, which is what most people have, the 1935D is worth slightly more than its silver melt value. But in uncirculated condition, especially above MS64, the story changes fast. Now here's where most videos get it wrong. They'll show a 1935D, quarter-graded MS67 Plus by PCGS and say, "Look, this coin sold for tens of thousands of dollars." And yes, that's true. But what they don't tell you is how rare that grade actually is. There are less than a dozen known examples at that high of a grade. In fact, most 1935D quarters have weak strikes, worn dies, and surface issues, which makes true high-grade survivors extremely difficult to find. That's what drives the high prices. It's not just the year and mint mark, it's how clean, how well struck, and how original the coin is. And don't even get us started on proof like luster or full detail on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Those traits can send prices skyrocketing for serious collectors who chase perfection. Now here's another twist. Many fake listings online try to pass off common, circulated 1935 D quarters as ultra-rare. They'll use words like super valuable, millions, or hidden treasure, but it's just clever editing and hype. If you don't see a certified grade from a reputable, third-party grader like PCGS or NGC, and it's not in pristine condition, you're looking at a common coin worth just a few bucks over silver melt. Let's go deeper. Errors on this coin? They're rare, but they exist. You might find off-center strikes, double dies, or planche flaws, but again, without proper authentication, you're flying blind. Most sellers claiming they found an error have actually just spotted damage or wear. But when you do find one with a genuine error, and it's graded and verified, the price can be many multiples higher, especially with collector demand at coin shows or auctions. Collectors today seek out early Washington quarters for typesets, year sets, and silver portfolios. The 1935 D stands out as a second-generation silver quarter, right before design changes and improvements to the strike process. It's a coin that bridges the early Washington series with the maturing American Mint of the 1940s. And for long-term collectors, this coin holds emotional value too. It's a piece of Great Depression history, minted when the U.S. was still clawing its way out of economic turmoil. Holding one of these quarters feels like holding a chapter of American survival. But let's not lose focus. If you're holding a circulated, worn-out 1935 D Washington quarter, it's not going to make you rich. If it has been cleaned, scratched, or bent, forget about it. But if you have one in mint state, with no wear and strong luster, you might be sitting on a valuable piece, especially in today's market, where early silver is gaining more and more attention. So before you believe the hype, before you fall for flashy headlines, remember, condition is king, grading is everything, and only the best of the best command top dollar. And that's exactly what we do here on Rare Coin Collecting. We separate myth from fact, we expose the clickbait, and we show real collectors, buyers, sellers, investors, what actually matters in this hobby. If you want to keep learning the truth about US coins, hit that subscribe button and stick with us. This journey is just beginning, and we've got dozens more coins to uncover. We've already covered more than 30 iconic quarters, and each one has its own hidden story, ready to explore the next.